girls, entrepreneurs of all ages. Let's get ready to rumble. All right, everybody, welcome to 1 Million Cups Chico chapter. This is our 4th presentation now. I think number 4. And we'd like to introduce the organizers today. We have Tim Sharkey, the MC. I do some business development, and I own Chico Gift and Ship. There is William Wolford, Operations Manager at Chico Start. Wendy Porter, Managing Director at Chico Start. We have Danny Schwartz, Lady Boss, Danny Schwartz Consulting. Aaron Banwell, the Founder and Executive Director here at the Idea Fab Labs. We have Carly Santa, Founder and Zone Leader here. Alexander Van, CEO of Up. Robert Boston, Software Developer from Web Marketer. Oh, he is a Web Marketer, sorry. And we have Valerie Redmond, Entrepreneur, Marketer, and Customer Experience Expert. She's awesome. We have Preston Linderman. He is a tech entrepreneur. I saw him this morning, there he is. We also have Courtney Farrell from Chico State here today, and our newest on board is Jennifer, there she is, and Kaliana with Happy at Home. I think that's everybody so far. We have a growing team, so if you would like to be an organizer and help do business coaching or some other items, please contact us, contact Wendy, and we'd love to have you on the team. We'd also like to recognize all the attendees today and our sponsors, which is 6 Degrees Coffee in the back. They're supplying the coffee to fill up our 1 million cups that we're going to be doing here in Chico. And we also have BCAC, our local television. Their time and resources to do this for us every week is greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys. And we also have Idea Fab Labs right here, offering up their facility and their creativity for us to open up our ideas. So 1 million cups is based on 1 million cups that it takes to create your business, your idea that happen all over the world. And we just happen to be one small little community with a huge entrepreneurial attitude. I have to say, it's awesome to live in Chico and to see all the small businesses, because here in Chico, either you work for a large city, state, government, hospitals, or the school. You know, it's all basically major stuff where you have to follow and step into just the clog of everything. Other than that, you have to start your own business, create your own livelihood. So that's what all of us have done here, and we're all part of it. So thank you for being part of the craziness we have here in Chico. Today we have Sandy and Daryl from Chico Flax, and they're going to talk to us today about their idea and how they're going to revolutionize the world with new textile materials. So here it is to them. We're going to have 6 minutes of question and answer, and after that, no, the other way around. You know, I've only had half a cup of coffee today. It's apparently not kicking in yet. So 6 minutes, pitch their idea. They're going to tell us all about it. And then we'll have 20 minutes of question and answer. And we will have a question for them at the end. So thank you guys very much for showing up. And please have fun.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you all for coming this morning after that shower last night. It's great for Sandy and I to be here and to make a presentation.
Has their 6 minutes begun yet?
Go for it.
Start the session. Yeah. Chico Flax started about 5 years ago with a group of really interesting community members. Textile artists like myself and some political activists. We had a really strict criteria that we wanted to follow. First off, we wanted to create a Chico cloth. Like in Scotland, where I spent some time, cloths represent a district or a family, such as a tartan. We thought, wow, a Chico cloth. But this criteria was that it had to be locally sourced, organically grown, and if we used any dyes, plant dyes, it had to be natural. So we set out many meetings discussing how we were going to do this. And so after about several months, we got some seed. We planted in February, and with sorry, this is looking great.
You're doing great.
Keep going.
where we are. We're planting, and it's a 90-day planting period. It got too hot. Well, that made horrible fiber, and that was my goal. But we kept this out for a couple years, and then I talked to a local farmer who advised that it's an annual, so why not grow it in the winter? Oh, okay. So we tried it, and it actually, by April, was ready to harvest. It was perfect. Little did I know that this is a big deal in the flax industry, to grow it in the winter. I had been communicating with weavers over in Sweden. It got in an article in a national magazine over there. We also got recognized for the National Flax Symposium. I went out there and gave my 15 minutes of fame about our Chico cloth. Then we also, from that, we will be featured in 2 nationally known magazines this coming year. And best of all, FiberShed found out about us. FiberShed is the most amazing organization which we are part of. Like the food movement, where it's the farm to table, that's changed the way we eat, they are changing the textile industry. They are encouraging local farmers to produce materials that will become local fibers and locally sourced, and we're right in that. So, where have we gone from there?
What we've learned is that there are no linen mills in the United States. So we took some patterns from some colonial era machines, and we've made those. And that's what we've been using. They're all hand powered, and it takes a tremendous amount of work to get those things, to get the straw processed. Just a real quick sidebar, it's not running on its timer. Okay.
Just forget about the technology and tell us the story, girl.
Okay. What we've been using as a standard is that the Canadian government granted some money to a company up in Canada to produce a mini mill. And this mini mill is supposed to be capable of producing or processing 750 pounds of straw a day. This should yield about 75 pounds of yarn a day. And this is what we've been using as our standard, what we're looking towards. If we get to the point where we need to jump immediately into more hard capital investments, it would be something like purchasing that. Right now, we're working on a bridge between ourselves and the community and Cal State University Chico. We have the Department of Business, the Engineering Department, and the Ag Department. We have supplied to the Ag Department 5 different varieties of flax seeds, and they've already got them planted in the ground to see how they'll do in our environment. We're also looking, our largest partials to date has been 1/3 of an acre. We're hoping that this spring and this year we'll be able to plant at least 1 full acre, which should yield about 4,000 pounds of straw for us to process. The engineering department is working on a machine that will help us process. So we've got those things in the works and going from there.
And don't forget the business department.
I did say business department.
The service.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes. Besides, and what the other parts are doing is the business department has been doing some service learning with some of their students and providing them to come out and plant and or harvest our crop. And this last year, that worked out really, really well for us, and I hope for them too.
So?
You might be wondering, well, okay, so we're starting this business. Where do we go from here? How can you, as community members, get involved besides hands on the field with us, which is a great option? But we have an Indiegogo site. We've set our sights high. We went for $50,000. So hey, it's in the brochure. That's still going. We've got a couple more weeks. And also, if you're interested in being a personal investor, we have shares at 1% at $2,500. We have 15 left, and just yesterday we got 4% from 1%. So it's happening, you guys. I mean, we can make it happen. make a new industry that'll employ people, and you know, the farmers are, it's a win-win. And the other thing we didn't mention, since we were still going, we have time, even our technology messed up, is not only can we create a mill here, but we also can create a seed bank. Because one of the problems we have is that we're going for that acre. If you want to get 20 acres, it's really hard because there is no industry in America to get the seed. So let's start a seed bank. And the Fibershed group is so supportive. They're backed by Patagonia and North Face, so we're going to try to wine and dine them. I mean, they've done it with wool, they can do it with flax. So with that, let's start the question and answers. Thank you.
I'll start. Okay. All right. I love this. So what's the market that you're going for? I read about, you said table linens and runners and things, clothing, you mentioned Patagonia. So what do you see as, I guess, today your market or channels? Tell me a little bit about the sales revenue opportunities.
Currently, from the fashion industry, we learned a couple of years ago at the National Flax Symposium that the niche markets comprise less than 5% of the worldwide. That includes linen. What we see is that there will be an interest in naturally produced, sustainably grown fibers in the future. Who does what with what we produce right now? Our goal is to be able to produce some linen yarns so that a weaver can take it and produce towels, table runners, and the other products that will be available throughout the production line that are not scrap, but there's the long line linen, which is what we're looking for, and then there's a short line linen, which is used in a wide variety of uses throughout the United States. Paper making with some of the scrap material, the straw stuff. If I'm leaving anything out, you want to?
The plexiglass, you know about that.
Oh. Yeah, in the automotive industry worldwide, they've been using short flax fibers from the food flax production. They end up with a straw that's only about 9 to 12 inches long. They have been retrieving these fibers and mixing them with the plastic and die casting lightweight automobile parts. And other industries I'm noticing are coming up with these reinforced plastic products. That has been a big one. Canada, Europe are already producing lots of short line, really short fibers, and using it for that application.
I'm also thinking,
No, go ahead.
I think one other market that's really happening, and I mentioned Fibershed, is that niche market of buying everything that's in your wardrobe is local. That is big. And the design world, I've worked with fashion designers myself, where I produce fabrics for them that they would weave, and it's just exhilarating. There's a climate beneficial fabric going on right now. There's a guy in Sacramento that's got power looms, Ryan, and he is putting out some really cool stuff. And so he's looking at us because he wants to try the linen. So yeah, that's your market. Question?
You mentioned the Scotland and places like that where there are unique weaves that represent like districts or regions or families, like clans. And so you mentioned, the first thing I thought of, or my question was, what is the Chico fabric, what does it look like?
I have a sample. It's made with Belgium linen, where I have to get my linen today. But I wove that, and that's locally dyed Toyon, the red come from. So that's the closest I could get.
My follow-up question is, it seems like there ought to be something from Chico that is unique to Chico, visually. So you look at it and go, wow, that's really interesting, that's distinctive, that's from Chico.
That is a great point, because one of the ideas is, I have a friend who's a printmaker. Why couldn't she print on it, silkscreen? You know, that might answer your question a little bit, because I'm looking at it from the weaver. I can make the structure of the fabric,
Right.
but let's make that structure plain, and then you can paint it. So I think it's good.
Add to that.
Okay, about 17 years ago, 18 years ago, before we got married, Sandy was doing an American Crafts Council show in Baltimore, Maryland. I forgot the exact number, 1,300, 2,000 exhibitors from all over the United States were there. It's a juried event. You have to be producing incredibly high quality stuff in order to be admitted to the show. Well, Sandy's there. I went through the list of exhibitors. There were 37 from the Chico area, Butte County. I think there was one that comes out of here and lives in Grass Valley, but he does a lot of his work here. So this area has a tremendous resource in creative people, and what we're looking for is to be able to produce something for somebody else to go make something creative with. We don't intend to be the only people working with it, although she'll want to do a lot. So we envision this as being something that will open up an industry in this area. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, besides working with students at Chico State, and doing the hands-on planting, are you thinking possibly in the future maybe interacting with a younger population or even the student population at Chico State for the production aspect, or learning your weaving, introducing them into that craft or that skill set?
We have been approached for that younger student. Sandy also teaches at Butte College, so there's a connection there.
Yeah, I teach textile arts, so that kind of helps. And I'm really excited. I'm having the first intern who heard about us from, not local, but she's coming from Philadelphia. So she's coming in January 8th, so I'm excited. So.
That's kind of what I wanted to know about. What does your existing team look like, and who's actually working with you right now?
Good
And
question.
what are they doing?
You know what? We've been based on volunteers. And our slideshow went through so fast, but it's very labor intense. And people get excited. I mean, when this first started, I had 40 people at our meetings. We're down to 3 of us. So that's why the college has been very helpful. So, that's why we're looking for funds, because you can't rely on volunteers all the time. It just doesn't work.
Well, I have a question. You said you had 2,000 pounds of yield. What does that turn into actual usable product? And how much product do you foresee that you can actually produce at a certain time? And like you said, you have lots of volunteer work. How does that volunteer hours, if you have to start paying for that volunteer hours at a certain point, translate into the cost of the product?
Definitely, it's a higher end product. To give you an idea, I can only go by an organic cotton grower that's very successful. She sells her yarns, and I'm talking retail, at $70 a pound. And it takes maybe 20 pounds to make a decent piece of fabric. So linen's a little more involved, so it might be about a $90 retail comb.
How much is a regular?
Regular, I get my yarns from Europe at about 30, but they are doing huge volumes. Huge volumes. I mean, we're talking mini mill would fit probably in the Fab Lab here.
I was just curious how people currently hear about you and find you, and what your plan is to get people to hear about you and find you.
Our social media, Facebook has been great. Presentations, I've gone to down in the Bay Area. I've had several weaving guilds have been interested. Some other local presentations, and just kind of word of mouth, basically.
May I expand on that? Yeah, there's currently in Northern Europe and the east coast of the United States, there seems to be some of this in Western Canada, and I don't know if we've triggered it, but there is an interest for the small scale hobby, I'm calling them hobby gardeners, who want to plant 100 square feet of flax and then see what they can do with it after they've processed it themselves. And I think therein lies another market for us to supply workshops, how to do it efficiently, and how to come out with a quality product.
And that I see happening really soon, like in the springtime.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, Daryl, because that is our little niche market.
Yeah.
Because when I was at this presentation last month for Fibershed, it was at their symposium, and the question was raised, how many of you want to grow it? And there was like 200 people in the room, and I mean everyone. You guys were sitting in the front row, so you didn't see it, but everyone's like this. I went, whoa. I mean, that was really quite exciting for me, you know, there's definitely this desire.
Yeah, it's definitely rewarding. At this meeting a month ago in Marin County, we put out a sign-up sheet. If you're interested in buying seed from us, we have seed on order. Please let us know your interest and we'll respond to you as soon as we've got it and know what the price is going to be and how much quantity we'll be selling. And there was 85 people out of that audience of about 200 that signed up for that. So we've got those names ready to respond to on our electronic mail. E, isn't it? E something?
I'm wondering, is there, because you're taking the fibers and then you're producing a lot of seed, so that seed's still good, could be used for food?
Oh,
Yeah, and in fact, that's the other avenue we're not talking a lot about, but definitely we have a plot at the Humboldt Gardens, and we're going to put some of it with our fiber and some with our food.
our seed.
And in fact, a local bread maker who's at the farmer's market, some of you might know, but those are hints. He's going to grow us some.
He's gonna-
Like big, I'm growing it.
We're
He's
growing
going
it,
to-
he's gonna make it. Yeah.
So there's a food market.
Sandy, could you say a little bit about where your dream mill would be in North Chico and who you had visited the other day?
Oh, yes. We have a dream, a wonderful person who's a spinner who has just taken down it's 5-acre plot, but 4 acres of her trees. And on Monday, we got together with 2 of the agriculture professors, and we're working on a grant with them. And what we see this place being, she's got a great barn, it's classic, and to grow flax, to experiment with the processing called redding, which deals with, I won't go into that, it's a rotting stage that has to happen before you can even break it into the material that we have here. And it would become a linen or flax research center. And so that's my ultimate goal, to have this place be, and I'm not going to tell you where, because it's private property, but, you know, eventually it'll be.
May I expand on that?
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing that came out of our presentation to the National Flax Symposium, it was just last year, wasn't it? In 16. I don't know if it's just because we're from California, but we experimented with stuff that they'd never even thought about. One, growing it in the winter. Our climate is beneficial to growing flax in the wintertime. The second thing was, we don't have dew. And many of those people were dew retting, and that's another process. And when the slides went by, one of them was on dew retting. And so we have come up with an artificial dew. And we can reduce the time from 6 to 8 weeks to 2 weeks for dew retting. So, you know, I feel like we've been quite innovative in what we've done. We haven't been locked into, well, this is the way it's always been done, and this is the only way we're going to do it. So. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, this is probably, I might have said this before I got in. Where did your passion for weaving, like, where did it begin? Where did your story begin? Was it grandma, was it auntie? Like, I
Good question.
Yeah.
Okay, here it goes. I was 8 years old,
Okay.
My family, my dad was at the university here. So he had summers where we travel and trailer. We go all the way, I have family on the East Coast, so we go to Nantucket Island. And on the island, there's this really, there's some beautiful old buildings. I'm like 8 years old, so there's a weaving studio. And they're weaving, this loom is in the window. And so it's like, wow, that is so cool. It was ribbon and whale hide they were weaving. It was stunning. It was a coat for Jackie Kennedy Onassis at the time, okay? So I was like, that stuck in my memory. So go further up. I had an opportunity to go to Africa and live with a tribe in Kenya, and everything was done with hands. It just impressed me. And so I thought, I was an art student, and I thought, wow. So I came back, didn't want to go to Chico State, but I did and at the time. And they had a wonderful textile department. Took one textile class, I was hooked. I ended up going and living in Scotland and learned from someone in 1980, and he was a production weaver. And I came back and I go, that's what I want to do. So I have been a weaver for 30 years. And I've marketed my work. It's funny, I mean, people know me, Sandy Fisher, I go by Sandy Fisher Woven. I was called the Flying Shuttle for a while. People knew me as that. And but most of my work is sent outside of Chico. I've had to find that market elsewhere. But yeah, that passion's always been with me, and I'm still loving it, you know. And then the opportunity to teach at Butte just came along, so I'm teaching it. So that's fun too, to share. Yeah.
How are you guys approaching pests, pesticide? That's one part of the question, and the other is, are you worried about global warming and the climate changing here? Do we test the
Yeah, one thing, fortunately, there are no pests that seem to affect flax. I've done a lot of research, which is awesome, so no pesticides. The reason we started winter growing, it does take water. You know, you think about the East Coast, they've got a lot more rain. And so we were relying on our rainwater, and in winter, even though we're in a drought, that for a couple of years ago, it was 2 or 3 years before last year, which was unusual. It seems to be thriving with that little water. So that is really good. The other thing, part of the fiber shed movement is we get our soil tested for carbon sequestration. So, meaning that how can we better improve our soil to mulch it? So this 4-acre dream place has been tested, and I'm waiting for results from UC Davis. So that's all part of the picture. So, you know, they're doing it with the animals, let's do it with the plants. So.
Okay. I just want to say, the point that she brought up asking about your story, I think it's important that you guys use that maybe earlier on in the presentation, because, and this is coming because I live and breathe in the marketing and branding world, but like, I have seen that connecting stories to people, that's what gets people intrigued. That's what's going to get people to want to learn more and stay connected. So I think if you can incorporate that storytelling, I think that was important. I automatically perked up and I was like, oh, that is so cool that that's what got you into this process, because I think that you're going to find people that get intrigued from other aspects other than just the sustainability and the flex, and I think that's important. And then my other thing that I wanted to mention that I think the gentleman left kind of touched upon was bringing in, you know, Chico. I don't necessarily see like a logo or anything per se. I would maybe think about creating a logo that you can use, that people can connect locally, and that you can start to use to watermark your photos. So when you share things on social media and stuff like that, that people will start to create that brand awareness with what you're doing.
Yeah, those are good points.
And she's for hire too.
There's that networking.
Can you talk about some of the uses of the byproducts?
Oh, I was going to talk about that a little bit earlier. When we're processing the flax, the linen itself is in the middle, so that's only 10%. So there's a lot of byproduct. I won't call it waste. I've been experimenting with handmade paper, and one of my finds was this was put in a decal, which is what paper makers use as a mold, and you can see this could be a great insulation. It's tough. It's tough. You mentioned the fiberglass. And I'm thinking that, you know, some hands of really people that are technologically minded could come up with some really cool stuff. I know in Europe they compress it into blocks that they can burn as alternative. I would rather not burn it because I don't want to add that, but you know, paper making is one thing I could find. Any other uses?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago I found a very small pellet mill for making wood-burning pellets. There's a lot of people who still have those kind of pellet stoves. And it can also be used and stored and handled efficiently as a pellet to be used in larger scale uses, industrial uses, as a burn product, such as the cogeneration plant in Willows. Yes, sir.
I notice, you know, I get like omega-3 supplements sometimes, and it'll say fish, flax, and borage.
Yeah.
So are there flax, like nutritional things? You mentioned food earlier.
Yeah, the two different varieties of flax are the food flax and the fiber flax. The nutritional value between the two different types of seeds is negligible, more predicated upon the soil it was grown in rather than the variety. We have in our possession some food flax seed they only grow about 18 to 24 inches high and have lots of seeds. In fact, they produce about 75% more seeds than do the flax plants, or the flax fiber plant. God, that's a tongue twister, isn't it? Anyhow, so that could be a really good product. We have a young man who has 5 different farms in California, and he wants to try our fiber flax in between rows on his young orchard. And one of the thoughts that another farmer asked about, if he could grow food flax, so there would be a lot of nutritional products in the oil, and with modern harvesting equipment, turn that into silage, which could then be fed to cattle. Currently, they squeeze the food fiber or the food flax and get an oil, which is what you're either using or know about. The residual material, they then make pelletize and give it to cattle for feed, because there's still a lot of oil left in it, and there's a lot of nutritional value there in large-scale feedlots. So, anyone else?
I'm wondering, do you know what the yield of final product linen is per acre of
Well,
fiber flax?
it's the industry standard right now is between 4,000 and 6,000 pounds of straw per acre, and that's hard. Well, in some places they're growing it in thousands of acres at a time, and they have machinery to harvest it. If we got to that point, we would be looking at buying some of that machinery. But the weight of the straw, 10% of the weight of the straw becomes the fibers that are useful, and the rest of it is a byproduct. So, that's it.
I think we are out of time, and you probably go on for another hour. The questions are awesome, and you do have the happen chance opportunity to be in Africa, to learn about textiles, to create your passion. Jump on it. I want to say thank you guys. Good luck for it, and I look forward to seeing more products in the future area. And we're going to be able to put this online, and you can share this all over the place. So it'll be awesome. So we want to thank the sponsors again today, and that was 6 Degrees Coffee for the coffee. We have BGA and Idea Fab Labs. And we also want to make sure that everyone who's new here signs in so we can put you on the mailing list. We also have the 1 Million Cups app you can download on your phone, see who's coming up next, and if you'd like to present, you can apply as well. Like us on Facebook, share it, bring a friend next time, and if you are here and you show up, you can grab one of the travel mugs, 1 Million Cups. There's limited supplies. Once we go through some of them, we're going to be handing them out as prizes. So grab them while you can. And this is just a place, it's a community where we can share our ideas and our passions among our community peers. So please, let's embrace this, let's make it grow, and let's see how many cups of coffee we can down in the next year. So thank you for coming. We appreciate everyone's time and your resources, and we'll see you next week. Do you have a presenter next week?
No, we're canceled the next 2 weeks.
Oh, the holidays. So we'll see you after the holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas.
Drink some
Happy
coffee
holidays.
and